What is going on, guys? It's Modded Warfare here. Welcome back to another PS5 video. So in this video, we're going to be exploring IDU mode on the PS5 through the debug settings. So I'm going to go into debug settings here. I'm going to go down to system and we've got IDU mode. So basically, this is something that pretty much everybody with any sense in the scene will tell you never to enable this mode. And there's a good reason for that. It's very easy to get stuck in IDU mode and not be able to get out of it. It also tries to force a system update on you, at least on the PS4. It'll probably be the same on the PS5, where it tries to force you to install the latest system update. So I'm blocking all updates on my network. I'm making sure that I'm protected as much as possible. Because I also want to show you guys how to get out of IDU mode, because there has been some people who have maybe let their curiosity get the better of them and enabled this mode and then found themselves stuck in IDU mode and not knowing how to get out of it. So I'm going to show you guys that here in this video, but I agree with everybody in the scene who says do not enable this mode. We're just enabling it here in this video just to show you guys, what actually happens in IDU mode and how to get out of it, and just out of a mild curiosity as well, just to see what happens. So let's go ahead and give this a try. So I'm going to enable IDU mode. Now, I've already shown how to set up the debug settings, by the way. So if you're here looking to figure out how to get the debug settings on the PS5, I'll leave a link down in the video description to my full tutorial for that, as well as in the cards in the top right-hand corner. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and enable this here. So it says your system will restart to reflect the settings. So first of all, IDU mode, for those who don't know, it's basically a kiosk console. So it's a mode for consoles that are set up as display units inside stores. So when you go into a store, you might have a PS5 there that you can kind of try out and test out. There'll be a bunch of demos, game demos that you can run, and trailers and synopsis of the game, all that kind of stuff. So that's essentially what IDU mode is, and it's a locked down environment. So, obviously these game stores, they don't want people who are trying out the PS5 to start messing around with the settings and then having to, reset it every single time. They don't want people deleting game demos. So that's why it's in this kind of lockdown environment here, as you can see from this picture, where you're stuck in this one app and you cannot exit back out to access the main home screen of the PS5. It's completely locked down. So that's why people can get stuck in this mode very easily. So we're going to go ahead and enable IDU mode. Again, not recommended. I highly do not recommend enabling this. This is just out of curiosity. So let's go ahead and restart this here. Okay, everything looks normal so far. And then this happens, installing IDU Digital. So we get installing IDU Digital, we get two user accounts that both get logged in at the same time, which is a bit odd. And yeah, we've got IDU added to downloads, LAN cable is connected. So yeah, it's installing this app. So the IDU app is basically the app that gives you the demo environment. So it's the demo app that allows you to launch all of your game demos for IDU mode. Normally it would launch into the IDU app once it's downloaded, but because it requires a higher firmware, it's just stuck in limbo, and we're getting this constant added to downloads loop because it keeps trying to run it again and again and again, or re-download it when it's not running, and it's just not going to work because I'm on a low firmware and I'm blocking system updates. And this is where the system update thing comes in, because sometimes it will just try and force a system update on you if it detects that the app is requiring a higher firmware. So because I'm blocking system updates, it's not going to be able to proceed any further. So what happens when you actually get stuck into this mode? Because I'm hitting the, PS button and nothing's happening. PS button's not exiting back out to the home menu. I can hold down the PS button. Again, nothing's happening. None of the buttons work on my controller. That's why people feel like they're screwed when they enter IDU mode and nothing works on their controller. Rebooting the system, rebuilding your database, resetting to factory default settings, reinitializing the PS5. None of those things fix this issue as far as I'm aware. So what you actually need to do to get out of this is you need to enable something called staff mode. So staff mode is a special mode for staff members of the store to be able to gain control over the system themselves. If they need to do some kind of maintenance or restart the system or install some more game demos or whatever it is, then they have staff mode available. Now, staff mode can be enabled by a special button combination on the PS5 controller. So what you need to do is hold down the L1 and L2 buttons and keep them held down while pressing the following buttons in this order. So circle, X, square, triangle, and right on the D-pad. And then you can let go of L1 and L2. And as you can see, it goes to a black screen for a few seconds, and then we should get control back of our system. As you can see right here, we get staff mode enabled. It should be, yep, there we go, staff mode. And as you can see, it's successfully gone back out to the home menu again. So that's essentially how you get out of IDU mode. I mean, we're still technically in IDU mode, so every time I restart the system, it will go back into that background where I'm not able to use the controller, and I have to enter staff mode every single time to get back out here. However, of course, I can disable IDU mode by now running the exploit and getting the debug settings back and then turning IDU mode off. So anyway, as you can see, this app was downloaded, IDU. So this is the app that is not runnable because I need to update my system in order to run it. So that is, of course, the app that contains the environment for running all of the game demos. So unfortunately, we're not able to run that here unless we update the system, which we definitely don't want to do, because then I won't be able to run the jailbreak anymore and get the debug settings to turn off IDU mode. And that is one of the main dangers about enabling IDU mode. And this is why the vast majority of people in the scene tell you not to enable this mode under any circumstances, because if you're not properly blocking system updates, then it creates a perfect storm of something really, really terrible that can happen, where if you enable IDU mode, you're stuck in IDU mode, and if you don't know how to enable staff mode quick enough to gain control over the system, none of the buttons are going to work on your controller. And if you're not blocking the system updates, it may force a system update to install on the PS5 without your knowledge, really. And if you're not able to stop it in time by enabling staff mode, you could end up updating your system to a higher firmware. And if you update to the latest firmware while you're in IDU mode, then you will be on that latest firmware in IDU mode without having access to a jailbreak to be able to enter the debug settings and turn it off. So you'll be permanently stuck in IDU mode until a jailbreak comes out for the latest firmware, which could be years in the future. So that is the main reason why you should never enter IDU mode on the PS4 or the PS5 if you can help it. So I have tried a few things in IDU mode because, you know, it's normally easier to install apps with IDU mode. Like on the PS4, there's a way of basically using an IDU update disk image that you can put on a USB drive, and then you can add your own package files, plug it into the PS4, and it'll automatically start installing them like it's detected an IDU disk. I've tried that on the PS5. It does not work. I've also tried an actual IDU update disk image on a USB and burned onto a disk, and it just did not recognize the IDU disk. So obviously PS4 IDU update disks do not work on the PS5 in IDU mode. So in order to actually install game demos, it looks like we'll need to find some kind of PS5 IDU update disk image, which I haven't seen on the internet so far. If there is one somewhere, then let me know, but I couldn't find one. So yeah, anyway, that's all we really have here in IDU mode until we can do more. I'll probably post a link on Twitter to this IDU app, to the actual link on the server where the package file is. Maybe somebody can find an older version that's actually runnable on the PS5 on older firmwares like 4.03 and 4.50. But yeah, at the moment, this one requires a higher firmware to run. So anyway, let's go ahead and exit out of IDU mode now, because these messages are getting a little bit distracting. So we'll go ahead and, of course, run the user guide and run Spectre's exploit to re-enable the debug settings. Okay, there we go. Enabled debug settings, launching Elf Loader, port 9020, stage 6. So we should be all good to go here. So I'm just going to go ahead and press circle. And then we'll head back out to the settings, go back to debug settings, go to system. And then, of course, we can go to IDU mode and turn it back off and click OK to reflect settings. And that will put my PS5 back to a normal retail PS5. No more IDU mode, no more staff mode required. We should be back to normal. So that's how you can exit IDU mode if you accidentally get stuck in there. But again, by all means, if you are crazy enough to enable it, make sure that you are, of course, blocking system updates. Again, I didn't actually see the PS5 try to force me to install a system update here, but that could be because I was blocking it. I know that the PS4 definitely does. So one of the first things it does is it looks for the latest system software update to install when it's in IDU mode. And yeah, you definitely don't want to do that because, again, you don't want to be updated to the latest firmware, not being able to re-enable the debug settings to turn IDU mode off, and being stuck in IDU mode forever, which would be a very bad situation to be in. So I believe there is a way to fix it through a hardware flasher. I think you can actually read the S flash, the actual NOR chip of your PS5, from the actual chip on the motherboard. You can read the firmware of it and change a byte or something that changes it from IDU mode back to retail, and then write that flash back onto the chip. I think that's a way of also reverting it if you do get permanently stuck in IDU mode because you've updated the latest firmware. So I think there is a way of potentially fixing it that way, but I could be wrong about that. So yeah, you definitely don't want to get stuck in IDU mode, but if you do end up enabling it, again, enter staff mode as quickly as possible. Make sure you cancel any system updates and then run the exploit again so that you can enable the debug settings and turn IDU mode back off. So yeah, that's essentially it for this video, guys. That was us exploring IDU mode on the PS5. So hope you guys enjoyed it or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one.